Welcome to the latest episode of Husbandry. It is good to be back in front of you all. And I am here with a special guest. I'm here with our guy, Jerome. Jerome, how you doing tonight?
I'm all right, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, wonderful to have you. Now, listen, people are going to look at this visual and they're going to say, wait a minute, why is Jerome on Husbandry? He ain't got no ring on. Like, what's going on? But one of the things that we are very serious about here, content-wise, is we always want to know how the content is landing. Not only how it lands for the demographic that is closest to us, which are those men who are married, who want to know, but we also wanted to see how it's landing for those who are outside of that demographic. Because sometimes, being married, sometimes we can treat it like getting into a new club and we don't hang out with our old friends no more. We don't talk the way they talk.
With good reason.
Right, with good reason sometimes. And I had heard you have been listening to the podcast and you had some good insights or questions, right? So let's talk about that. Let's start right there. What do you think? Do you think there are barriers in conversations like we have on Husbandry that it places barriers in between married men and single men?
Yes and no. I think at least from what my experience was when I watched the one that I did, was it felt like just two married men talking to each other. And that's cool for y'all.
Yeah.
But for somebody like me, like I'm just watching it, just trying to say, okay, well, two husbands. It was cool to see you guys engage with each other, but at the same time, I'm like, all right, well, I just watched this and I don't really feel like I learned anything. I don't feel like there were any points made that kind of took me and made me think like,
right,
wow, or maybe I didn't consider that before. So I think as a single man watching the one that I watched, because I can't say all of them, I didn't see all of them, but that one in particular, it was just kind of like, I was hoping for a little bit more.
Yeah.
But then I saw another one that gave me exactly what I was looking for.
Okay.
And so when I saw that one, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is probably, they need more of that.
Right.
So I don't know if it was just, just personality or comfort or just, transparency. Like some people are willing to be more transparent than others. So I don't know, it could have been a mixture of those things.
Yeah, so I tend to think, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, I tend to think that we live in an age of products and selling and buying, right? And I tend to think that marriage is one of those institutions that is so good that it sells itself, right? But then there are some people out there who are just like, well, it's so, maybe I haven't seen it or it's so confusing for me. I need someone to break it down. Where do you fall in that camp? Do you fall in between, I've seen people be married and that sold it for me enough that I want to do it? Or are you like, man, I need more information. I need to dive deeper. Where are you in between?
I've seen it all, so I feel like I'm all over the spectrum.
Okay.
There's some days I feel like, I could see myself doing that.
Yeah.
There's other days where I'm like,
nah.
Why would I do that? Like,
yeah.
Why? Like, why?
Why in the world
yeah, like, why?
would I choose
why
that?
would I do that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like I said, on the other side, I've seen days where I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. Like, I wish I had that.
Right.
So,
What are some of the things that make you say, wow, I wish I had that? And what are some of the things that make you say, why would I do that?
So just generally speaking, for me, I'm one of them people, I'm very particular about where I spend my time and how I spend my time. I like to do what I want to do.
Oh, Lord.
So having that freedom, it's like, having to think and always be mindful of how somebody else feels or what they're thinking about, that's not always appealing to me.
Right.
But at the same time, as I go through my journey and, just growing as a man and trying to, start a nonprofit and doing all these different things, I also enjoy the idea of having somebody who is like my partner in life. You know what I'm saying? Somebody you can share experiences with, or somebody who can help you to be a better man. So it's
on your best day, when you were clear on knowing exactly what you want, because some days we're thinking about life, we're processing life, and we get a clarity of getting as close as we possibly can to knowing exactly what we want. Which one has more value for you? Having that person in your life to be able to spend that, or having your alone, which one has more value?
That's rough, man. That's a rough question. And again, it depends on when you catch me.
Yeah.
Because there's some days where you really want to get something off the ground and you really have, you want to do something, but you just need that push.
Right.
And I feel like when you have a good woman by you, or if you have the right woman by you, they can do that. They can give you that push that you need.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, there's other days where it's just like, I'm so glad that I don't have to account for this other person.
Yeah.
So I struggle back and forth with that all the time.
And that's a great question, because one of the big questions that I think everyone has to ask themselves on what helps you get over the line for marriage, is it the person or is it the institution, right? Do I want marriage because of what I believe about marriage, or do I want marriage because I want to marry this person? Right. Like if it wasn't this person, I could pass.
See, and to me, if your marriage is not that, then it shouldn't be a marriage.
Ooh,
so if I'm not marrying, if I don't feel like I have to marry you or I need to marry you, then what are we doing? Because to me, you're just checking a box.
But I'm with that. My only thing with that is it puts a lot on feeling, and I got a hard time trusting feelings because there's so many things that could sway your feelings. Like I have a saying that I heard from Tony Evans: feelings are stupid.
Yeah,
they don't have thoughts of their own. They borrow yours.
Yeah,
right. So like,
oh, that's good.
My thoughts.
I gotta think about
are
that.
fed from, like, they borrow my thoughts. So not a lot of times, your feelings almost always agree with what you already think.
Yeah.
So depending on what I've been through, depending on what I've experienced, depending on what I've seen, my feelings towards marriage, my feelings towards this particular person could be negative, could be positive. So to say like, I will or won't pursue marriage because I haven't met a person who's made me feel a particular way. I get it. Like you're not going to cross that threshold with someone who you don't feel good about, but maybe you don't feel good about that person because of things that you need to deal with.
Or maybe you don't feel good because you're caught up in feelings. But what's the flip side of that? But what's the flip side? So like Jerome is saying, okay, I understand you feel like that. So teach me about the flip side. What's the flip side?
So the flip side has to do with, in my mind, kind of some of what we were talking about earlier about our community. Like if you think about like the well-being of men, our people, our culture, if you want to be like, sometimes kills me. Society, we love statistics when they agree with us, but we don't like them when they don't really agree with us. Statistically,
I am society.
Statistically speaking,
I get like that sometimes.
Families do better. People do better in their careers, statistically speaking.
Yeah.
And when there's marriage in the picture.
So let me ask Jerome, does that matter to you?
Well,
like, does any of that like even matter? When I'm asking you to go get married, and I'm saying, Jerome, you should go get married because statistics show that you're going to be a better person for our community, that is going to help this, help that. Does that matter to you?
You don't even have to finish the question. The answer is no. The answer is no. But that's also because I'm not a big statistic guy.
Right.
So for me, statistics is like this new age thing that makes it simple for somebody to be influenced by something. You see all the time people say, oh, such and such percent of this. But it's like, I didn't take that survey. So how many other people didn't take that survey?
Yeah.
So I never really buy into statistics unless it's something that I can see from my own, with my own eyes and experience. Like so I'm big on experience.
So what have been the greatest two experiences that you have seen that have made you be for marriage or be against marriage? Like, since you're not a statistic, you're an experienced person. What experience have you seen that has
something
made
above
you
and beyond feeling? Right, because that's
right beyond, right? Like beyond feeling, but what experiences have you encountered, you engaged with that says, man, I want to be married because I witnessed this or I saw that, or I don't want to be married because I witnessed this and I saw that. Do any stick out in your life?
They don't, and I guess just going back to this whole feeling conversation, I struggle with dismissing feeling because I think feeling is important for a relationship.
Definitely,
so
I agree.
I understand the idea of, okay, well, you don't just go into your feelings, right? Because you'll make a bad decision, especially if you go with your first feeling a lot of times. So I get that. But at the same time, I mean, and I hate to use the word because we're saying don't use it, but there has to be some sort of feeling or something about that person that makes me want to, make that lifelong commitment.
I agree. And I think that it's with statistics, we're going to talk about percentages, right? I think that not having any feeling is bad.
Right.
Having too much feeling is bad.
Right.
And
right?
not having any feeling with regards to what?
Not having any feelings, period. Like if I get married and I don't have any feelings about getting married, that's bad.
Right.
Right? If I get married and I have too many feelings about getting married, then that's bad too.
Right.
Yeah, but so I think I'm talking about something different though. And this is something that I just feel generally. I feel like black men.
Now we talking about your feelings.
Black men.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Black men. I feel like black men in particular, we don't. Marriage is not an intention for us as much as I think it should be, given the statistics. Whether you want to dismiss them or not, or you want to, they need to be verified, this, that, and the third. I think generally speaking, I would, most people that I've talked to look at marriage as a positive thing, but we, for some reason or another, we don't really pursue it. Like, I need to do this. This needs to be like the same way people say, like, I needed to get a degree to advance in my career. I need to get this. I need to get this certificate. I need to learn how to take care of kids before I, start a family. I need to know, like, we don't, black men in particular, I don't think we say, I need to go get married. If I'm not getting the feeling with this person, I need to go find someone who I will get whatever XYZ feeling, because marriage is that important. That's what I'm saying. I think that should be independent of feeling. That should be a decision to say, look, this either is or isn't a thing I'm going to pursue. You know what I'm saying?
So I agree with you, but I think that the reason why we are like that as black men is because we have been taught to put other feelings in front of that, primarily promiscuity and seeing women as being conquered. And right, so marriage gets pushed off, not because necessarily the value of the institution is cheapened, the value of the individual, the woman that I'm entering into this thing with in the institution has been cheapened.
I agree.
Right? Women are not meant to be in long-lasting relationships with. They're meant to be conquered. You're meant to have more than one. So why would I look at marriage as being a valid option or an aim or an intention?
The conquering stops.
Right, the conquering stops. So now I feel like a lame, right?
Yeah.
Because I've been taught to hunt and conquer, right? But when you hear John talk about that, or you hear my comment, what are your thoughts? I have something that I want to read that brought this up for me this week, but why do you believe, generally speaking, black men aren't very intentional about the covenant and the institution of marriage? You as a single man.
If you believe that.
If you believe it.
Well, I think a lot of it is just based on lifestyle and environment.
Okay.
So I think for somebody who grew up in a house where, you had your mother and father, they loved each other, even if they weren't like the happiest couple in the world, but at least when you were younger, if they made you feel like, they love each other and, they'll do anything for each other, I think that matters.
Mm-hmm.
If you grow up in a space where that's not the case, then you probably wouldn't look at relationships as appealing as somebody who grew up in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that dynamic, but then there's also, I think, the introduction to relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about, like, as a young kid, a lot of times a guy, when he's younger, he'll see a girl, he'll think she's pretty or whatever. And I'm talking like elementary school, like crush stuff, right? And if that girl don't like you back, that's a hurt piece for the guy.
Yeah.
And so now the guy is like, okay, well now, that crushed me. I don't ever want to be crushed like that again.
Mm-hmm.
So now you develop this Teflon of, I'm gonna make sure she don't break me down.
Exactly.
And then also though, at the same time, as women are growing and developing and now they're starting to learn the values of their bodies and the influence that they can have, now they themselves are putting themselves in a position where you wouldn't even think about marrying that person, because sometimes they're looking at somebody for the status or for what they can get out of that person.
Right.
So that's another example of why I think some men are not as quick to think about marrying, because they like, well, dag, like I know, such and such, she fine and all that, but I know she playing 2 other dudes,
right?
Playing them for money or resources or whatever. So it's a lot of things that go into that. I don't know. That's just my
no
thing.
Man. I live that to this day. So one of the things that I talk to a lot of teenagers, and I talk to them about what 39-year-old me would say to 16-year-old me. Right. And 39-year-old me would say to 16-year-old me, don't have any problems or don't feel any kind of way with being a nerd. Right. Because if 16-year-old me was able to meet 39-year-old me, 16-year-old me would be able to learn from 39-year-old me. When she gets 40, she's going to wish she fell in love with you when you were 16.
Right.
Because I've outpaced and outrun and outlasted those ones that they were trying to impress or they thought were those guys at the time. Now, they done ran their course. Right. They weren't worried about the things that they needed to be worried about to be to have structure and substance and be sustainable and set up when they were 30 or 40.
And even talking to that point, right? So now you get to that age, right? And so now you get to that age where you're established, you grown up, you're a grown man, going back to that experience piece. If I've seen a good marriage before, I get to that age, I know what I can do, but I'm still open to the idea of marriage, where you get some people where it's like they never saw a good example of a relationship or marriage. They get to a point of being successful, and now it's like, I'm not even thinking about getting married. I'm running through everything I can run through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
let's talk about that. All right, so let's talk about that in 2 ways. Number one, the first way, where are you when it comes to relationships right now in your personal life?
Next question.
He next questioned me. Okay. All right. He must have somebody he told he's going to be on here. Look, you're going to watch this. And he told him anyway. Okay. All right. I get that.
No,
all
you
right.
good. No, I can answer that question. Right now I'm single, but I am open to the idea of a relationship. Am I ready for that today? No.
Why not?
I'm just not there.
Okay.
I'm not there.
So, because it's hard for me to fathom. So it's just, if I said this to you.
All right, go ahead and say what you gotta say, man.
I'm open to eat tonight, right? But I'm not ready to decide. Pause. Yeah, that is a pause. That's a big pause. Right? I ain't used to having nobody who play pause
no
on
thanks.
here, right? That's a big pause. Okay.
My answer is no thanks.
Next question. Right? Ruin my example. But so are you ever going to be ready? Like, and is it on you to say when you're ready, or does that happen some other kind of way? Right? Because you're like, I'm open to it, but I'm not ready right now. Do you get yourself ready, or how do you become ready then?
I just let go and let God, man.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm serious. No, I'm serious because I mean, there was a time in my life before where I felt like I was ready to get married.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. And so...
Was it your fault?
I'm pretty sure I played a role in it. To me, it's never not. Like I
get that. That's a responsible answer.
Yeah.
Right? You were ready to get married.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get married.
Mm-hmm.
In the way that you said it, I'm thinking that you invested a lot into that relationship.
Right.
If this is too sensitive a spot, tell me, what made it not happen?
Come to the cameras, man. No, we good. No, I mean, we just grew apart. It was one of those things where we were together for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was long distance, though. But we were able to drive, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But we just got to a point where we just really wanted two different things. And neither one of us was willing to make that sacrifice to, give up what we felt like we had in our respective areas to say, okay, I'm going to make it work on your side.
Mm-hmm.
So it just was better to just be like, all right, if we're not going to move, then I might as well just,
So neither one of you I'm going to say this, and it might sound hard, so correct
Say
me.
what you got to say, my brother.
Neither one of you were important enough to the other one to put an end to your life for the beginning of both of your lives together.
That's a great way to say that. That's a great way to say that, because that's exactly what it was.
Right.
It was like, we were two people, we loved each other, we cared about each other, we enjoyed each other's company, but it was like, for what I have over here, and I can only speak for me, for what I had over here, I wasn't about to leave what I had going on to go try to figure it out somewhere else. That wasn't happening. So for me, it was like, if you want to do that, fine, but I'm not going to put the pressure on you to do that. Because I always wanted, if that was going to be the situation, I wanted it to be a natural thing. I didn't want it to be no ultimatums. I didn't want it to be any type of forcefulness behind it or anything like that. And some people say that might have been where I dropped the ball. Because some people say maybe I should have put the pressure on it to be like, I want that and I want you here. But I just always felt weird about doing that, because I said, if I have to do that, then maybe that's not going to be what she really wants. And that's okay. Everything has its time.
May 18th, 2023. Do you feel like you made the right decision?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Why?
I do. Because one, I'm very happy with where my life is at right now. I have no regrets about the relationship that I was in. And we're still cordial to this day. Not like hanging out or nothing like that, but just occasionally talking trash about like sports and stuff like that, because that's what we was into. But there's no regrets.
Did it make it harder for you to love and want a relationship after that? Easier, or did everything stay the same for you and your emotions and your ability and your eagerness, or how reserved you were to love? Did your not getting married to that individual after spending 8 years with them, did that change anything? And if so, what did it change?
That's a good question. I never really thought too much about that.
That's what we do here on the Husbandry Podcast.
Go ahead and plug him in. I'm sorry, one more time, the question.
After going through that 8-year relationship, thinking you were going to get married and breaking up, you break up. Did breaking up change anything about how you felt about love, how you felt about relationship, how you felt about the pace of when you wanted to get married? Did it change things for the better? Did it change things for the worse? Or do you believe everything stayed the same?
Everything definitely didn't stay the same. I think there's a lot of different answers for that question. I think the biggest thing that changed for me was nothing's guaranteed. I mean, because it got to a point in that situation where it was almost like, okay, this is obviously going to be it, but just when. And then when didn't come, it was like, wow, okay. So I think now, if I were to get in another relationship, or when I get in another relationship, I think it would be more intentional.
Right.
Because for the relationship that I'm referring to now, we were more friends. You know what I'm saying? When we started off, and we both were comfortable with where we were. We had our own things going on in terms of like professionally, living in different cities. Obviously, you have like just different lives and everything like that.
Right.
But I think I couldn't do that again. Like, I couldn't put myself in a situation where you have a completely different situation going on somewhere else. And I'm over here doing my own thing. Like, to me, we have to like kind of like start off in like neutral territory or the same territory. So then that way we can be more, again, intentional with where we're trying to go.
Yeah.
Because I think having that space, it made it feel like everything was okay. But the reality is there were a lot of things that we didn't talk about or consider in terms of that next step.
An expectation experienced and an expectation communicated are totally two different things.
Right.
I went out on the first date with my wife, who is now my wife. On the first date, I asked her, "Are you ready to get married?" I'm not saying it got to be to me. I'm not saying I want to marry you. I'm just asking you, are you in a position in your life where you're ready to get married?
Right.
If you are not, it was good going out with you. We will not do this again, because I am only
first date,
because I am only dating women who are ready to get married. Because I don't got time. I don't have time, right? To go do this with you. And at the
You
end,
don't have time. How old were you?
So I wanted to be married by the time I was 25. I got married at 27. Yeah.
You ain't have time?
I had time. Because
Just when the camera zoomed in on my face.
Because you know why?
What did he say?
Here's the thing.
What did he say?
Because we're going to go back to this thing right here. Because the other option was ruining, because of my lack of self-control and because of my I'm going to live my best life moments, what I was doing was ruining the fabric of what I would have had to offer my wife when I got married to her.
Okay.
So now that I'm preserving that, now that I'm celibate, now that I'm doing all of this, I'm like, I'm just trying to find this woman and let's go. Right? Like, if you're not going to get married, or you're not ready, we're not compatible already. Because you want to take your time and you trying to figure things out, sweetie. I'm past that. I'm sorry. I don't want to rush you, but I've done all that, right? And like you can figure that out. And if I'm still available by the time you figure that out, look me up. You know what I mean? But if not, so let me ask you this, because we talked about this. Is the living my best life stage for us as grown men, us reverting back to the behavior we had when we got denied by that girl as a little boy?
That's a good question.
So we talked about the little boy. You go to a girl, you like her, she turn you down, break your heart.
Yeah, definitely.
Break you down.
And so your question is
it the same thing, but one is just in adulthood and one is in childhood? Guys, when we come off of not making it through a relationship, not getting the woman that we want, and we just go say, I'm going to go live my best life.
Oh, for sure.
Are they two of the same thing, just in different life stages?
Sure. I say 100%.
I don't say 100%. Because I think as an older man, you've done a certain amount of living.
Mm-hmm.
So you're making a conscious decision at that point. I think that when you're younger, it's more reactive.
Okay.
Whereas now it's more purposeful. Like, I could get in a relationship right now if I wanted to. Like, if I really wanted to be intentional and say, hey, let's get married. Like, I'm in a position to where I could do that. But I just don't want to right now.
Right.
But I'm consciously making that decision. I'm not doing it because I'm bitter about something or I'm angry about something or I feel rejected.
You just don't want that as a part of your...
I just really don't want that. Like, I really just enjoy getting off of work, going home to my space, and chilling. Or if I want to do something.
So when you wanted that, do you think you didn't realize that you actually didn't want it? Like
what you mean?
And you mentioned in your previous relationship, there were times where you were like, this is it. Like, this is. So I take that as there was a desire to see it through to marriage.
Right.
So being in your position now where you're like, no, I actually don't want that. Do you feel like that would have been a mistake to get married?
You can't do that.
I'm asking.
Well, no. I'm saying.
He said that's not a legal question. He said objection.
No. I'm saying you can't do that because that situation, and it wasn't. There were other factors that played into that situation not working out. So there were reasons why when it came to an end, I wasn't the boy outside with the boom box or going all crazy.
Yeah.
Like, by the time it came to an end, it was like, okay, I gave this everything that I could and it didn't work. Fine, move on. But I don't have any regrets about that at all. But I also can't say that wouldn't have been a great situation. Because like I said, we're still cordial to this day. So had we been able to figure out that one piece that didn't work, who knows? I'll probably be happy as I don't know what right now.
I'm trying to figure out if I wanted to get married and I was dating someone and I wanted to get married. As a matter of fact, I'm the type of person I love really hard. So two of the let's put it this way. One of
oh, you ain't hear me?
He was over here taking shots. I'm sorry.
It was a good shot.
It was a good shot.
I love my cousin.
One of the relationships before my wife, I really did think I was going to get married. I was there. And when it didn't happen, I was crushed. Right? Like, for me to turn around and say, I don't want to be married after that, I don't know how else to interpret it other than I'm just salty right now. I'm tight. Like, why would I want marriage at 23 and now I spent 2 years in this relationship. It didn't work out. I'm 25. I don't want marriage now.
I think that's it. So I think that is a unfair conversation, but the way that we go about relationships makes it a fair conversation. Let me explain that. I think it is perfectly okay for somebody to get in a relationship with someone, a long relationship, and then after realizing the responsibility of relationship and all that it takes to say, I don't want to get married.
Facts. But then that relationship changed your perspective.
It does. But here's the problem. The way that a believer in Jesus sees it, well, if you don't want marriage, you don't want anything else to do with it either. You don't want the sex. You don't want the companionship. You don't want the company. You don't want that. You can't have any of that. It's either this or that. There's no real in between, right? So a lot of people say, man, I don't really want marriage, but I'll take a situationship, right? You can come over when you want to come over. I'll come over when you want me to come over. We can go to the movies together. We can do this, but I don't want this to end in a commitment. And that's not available to a person who is living their life for Jesus. It's either this or that. That's why when I'm looking at my daughter's 9 years old, right? And she's starting to like boys. And I'm telling her, like, you're not going to get this now. But sweetie, there's no reason for you to date if you're not planning on getting married. For what? Right? Like, what's the end goal of having 6 or 7 boyfriends throughout high school, throughout college, and you're not thinking about marriage yet? Experience? For what? The only kind of experience dating ends up giving people is heartbreak.
How to deal with rejection. You can say that's valuable experience, though.
How does it teach you how to manage relationships?
No, it teaches you. So
Mike said that. He said it teaches you how to manage relationships.
So you don't think that going through a relationship, you don't think that you grow in every relationship that you've had?
No, I think that I wouldn't say that you don't grow, but I think you get injured more than you do grow. Right?
To me, that depends on the relationship.
Because you give stuff away that you can never get back, right? And you end up going through experiences that you never had to go through, because 9 times out of 10, when you break up with somebody, there were red flags in the beginning that this ain't gonna work.
Yeah, but I don't understand how that...
But I think it's a flip side to everything that you just said.
What's the flip side?
The reverse of everything that you just said.
Give me the reverse, because I don't understand the reverse right now. So I need you to teach me.
Well, because I think that you're saying that you lose a lot and you get hurt. And I'm saying you can grow a lot just in having those experiences too. You can get introduced to things that you may not have thought about, or that you just never even knew about in dealing with somebody in that way.
So here's where I see it's different. My goal is to be able to love one person the way that one person needs to be loved. Why do I have to practice on those other 6 for this one person?
Well, you don't have to.
I was going to say have to is not
or why would I practice on those other 6 for this one person?
Yeah, we don't know. We never know who the one is.
When this one person is different.
I'll speak for myself.
Yes.
I'll speak for myself. I just told you that a lot of the girlfriends that I had previously, I was like there with them in terms of like just emotionally being in it, and like, I learned about myself through those heartbreaks. That I get there too quick. It was a hard lesson. I'll never forget it. Right? That like, yo, I'm emotional like that, to where I'll be ready to.
This is good.
I was ready to like.
Ooh, this is so good.
Like, yo, like
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I got questions.
He got questions. He said, hold on. Hold on. This ain't registered.
That's just me. Right. So
did you need them to learn that lesson?
I already said it's not about need.
So did you need them to learn? So you could have learned that lesson without them.
You don't know.
I could have.
Right.
That's how I learned it. And I'm glad I learned it before I got into the relationship with my wife.
I'm gonna let Jerome go after this question. Do you think it was God's intended will for you to learn that about yourself that way?
I honestly don't know. I like intended will. I honestly don't know. I would say no. But
all things work out for the good of those at the end.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that what was placed in the middle, God just takes our foolishness and he finds a way to make it, right? So there's also some things that maybe your current wife had to go through that you picked up from relationships.
Without question.
Right? That were like, bro, question. Like this is not cool.
Absolutely.
Right? So I just don't think that God needs my help getting me to the finish line.
I agree with it.
Right? That's all I'm saying. Right? Like, so God don't need my help in getting me to the place of me being a good husband, me understanding how to manage a relationship. God don't need my help with that. He don't. Because I'm not bringing 20 and 10 every night with God.
So then this is my issue with what you talk about with your daughter. Because I've seen people that to me that can turn into, I've seen people do this. I don't want to, like, I only want to have one girlfriend. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm a date. I want the next person I date to be my wife.
Yeah, I'm not talking purity culture. I'm not.
It's not even about purity, but just like, you know, I want.
Well, I believe in purity, but I'm not.
For sure, yeah. I do also. I'm saying I'm not. It wasn't from that perspective that they were making that declaration that I want this. You know, I want one girlfriend kind of thing. But it's like I'm going to cross that. I'm not going to cross that threshold till I know it's right. And it's like, to me, I don't think that's healthy either, right? So it's like, more than likely, you've taken that position with your daughter. Great. More than likely,
and my son,
and your son. More than likely, she's going to have more than one boyfriend.
Here's my thing.
Even when she is ready to date.
I'm gonna let Jerome. I'm gonna let Jerome get to you because Jerome said he had questions, but then I'm gonna get back to you.
I have no question.
Here's my thing. It's not about the number of boyfriends. It's about the seriousness of dating.
Okay.
If you go into this relationship and you have a boyfriend and you and this boyfriend say, we are both ready to get married, then if the Lord gives you peace, go with it. But if you got a boyfriend just because you like him and you think that this is going to be a great thing, but you haven't communicated over how you make,
I got you.
Sweetie, that's foolishness.
This sounds wild to me.
Sweetie, that's foolishness.
I'm just listening.
I'm with you. No, I'm with
you.
That's
like people who go to the car dealership to test drive a car to fill out all the paperwork, but they don't want to buy a car. That's wasting everybody's time. It's foolishness.
They shouldn't have filled out the paperwork. They should just test drove.
Dating is filling out the paperwork.
No, but he said
they should have filled out the paperwork.
They should just test drove the car.
They should see. Now you're putting mileage on it. Now you're putting wear and tear on it.
Corner.
Listen.
What mileage?
That's the thing.
That's exactly.
That's exactly.
We just having a good time.
See, we just having a good time.
We having a good time together.
I'm just gonna put some mileage on you. Right? And I'm going to tell your husband, take this used car.
Nah. See,
that's what, is that not what is that not the conversation?
I agree with that. I agree with 100%.
That's the conversation. Look, we're going to put this mileage on each other, and then we're going to go try to settle down with somebody, and they're going to have to accept this mileage just because we wanted to have fun.
Oh, and by the way, society will say you're less acceptable than me, even though we just sat here and did the same thing. As a man, that's what we do to women as a man when we walk around and say, oh, it's just knowing darn well that the next man that she may want to be her husband, that might want to make her his wife, might not do so off of the fact of what we doing right here, right now.
I got all of it. I told you I'm big on experience, man.
Yeah.
So for me, this sounds crazy to me. Like I was supposed to come out the womb and I was only supposed to be with one female.
No.
That's what I'm hearing.
No. I'm not saying that. We were supposed to come out of the womb and we were supposed to learn to date in a way that I am not going to take this female's time. I am not going to initiate activity with her body or her soul unless I am serious about keeping her for the rest of my life.
Got it.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, that's different. I'm not talking
right.
Like I said, I was saying that when people have held that position, I've disagreed with it 100%. Like, dude, why are you even talk? So like, I'll give you a perfect example, right? Me and my wife broke up before we got married. Like we dated, we broke up.
I hear this.
We dated, we broke up, we started dating again. Like if I had that perspective, when me and my wife broke up, I'd have said, forget it, it's done. She wasn't the one because that's what I'm talking about. Like I don't believe that like the experience, the process, whatever is useless or more harmful than good because it didn't end well. Like that's the argument when he was talking about like you end up. What did you say?
Yeah, he was saying hurt and they lose. He was losing me on that one too. I'm sorry, I couldn't ride with that.
Which one?
When you were saying
it does more damage than good.
Yeah.
When you're in a relationship that doesn't last.
So let me ask you this.
I just don't think all the time.
And let's. Do you believe? Let me get as a single man that more black men. And we talk black men because that's what I know, right? Like I'm not involved in the dating lives of white men or Asian men or like Indian men.
Neither am I.
We ain't talking about, I'm not, do you think more of us want to date multiple women because we're trying to find our road to marriage? Or are we dating multiple women because we're either trying to find our road away from heartbreak or to masculinity?
So I love that question because that's the point that I was making earlier. For me, I started because growing up, my dad had the same position as you. Are you ready to get married? If you're not ready to get married, like what are you dating for? I wasn't allowed to just have girlfriends growing up.
Right.
100%. But when I was dating, that might be part of the reason why I got to 100 so quick.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Because that was my mindset. It's like,
and I see that.
I am dating because I want to get married.
Was she at 100? She shouldn't have been dating you. Leave that man alone. It go the same for these girls. Leave that boy alone. I can't
really say, in hindsight, I can't say if she was like...
Right. And I don't want to...
That's just me.
I like your wife. I don't want to keep talking about the old John. But anyway. The old John. We ain't going to keep talking about the old John. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Aries is my homie. We ain't going to talk about the old John. Right? Like, but so what do you think? When we're thinking about black men in general, am I going through all these different relationships and these dating things because I'm trying to find my wife? Or am I going through this because I'm trying to find my way to masculinity or find my way away from heartbreak? And now, mind you, heartbreak don't have to be the woman you date. Heartbreak 9 times out of 10 for black women is your mama.
Black men.
Yeah. Is your mama.
Yeah.
Right? The reason why I'm doing all these different relationships with these women is because the number my mom did on me, I don't know how to be loved by a woman or I don't know how to love one either. So I am just going to figure this thing out as I go. And however many I destroy, it's just the cause of the game. That's just how I go. What are your thoughts?
Let me make sure on camera that I say it is not that. I love my mother.
Mama, I love you. Mama, you ain't got nothing to do with my foolishness. Mama, you ain't got nothing to do with my foolishness.
Let me be which camera I need to look in? Mom, don't listen to him.
That's right. I
love you, Mom.
You say, Mom,
listen to him.
I'm acting out here because of me, not you. But go ahead. What are your thoughts? Or it could be something else. It could be none of those and something else. But why are we so prevalent to want relationships with women, but not marriage?
Convenience.
Give it to me more. Elaborate. Convenience for who and convenience how?
I think we live in a world now, and, guys have always been like this to a certain extent, but, just instant gratification. It's like, okay, well, what makes me happy right now? And it's like, okay, the idea of marriage is beautiful, but you have to work to get there.
Yeah.
Where in today's society, you don't always have to work to get there. Like you can have a very healthy relationship with somebody and it not be your wife. And I'm not saying that it has to be, anything physical or anything like that. Because, I mean, sometimes it's just good to just have like a female friend who you could just hang with and chill and what was I trying to say? Hey, I just lost my thought that fast.
It doesn't have to. It don't always.
It don't have to be. It can be sometimes a friend that you can just chill with.
Yeah. Because when you're in a relationship, thank you. Because when you're in a relationship, you have to worry about that. It's like, okay, not like I've never been in a relationship where my girlfriend at the time felt comfortable with a female friend that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of how transparent I tried to make it.
Say that one more time.
I've never had a girlfriend in my life that has ever felt comfortable with me having a female friend.
Okay.
So I'm saying there's another part to just being single now for me right now too. That's like, I enjoy being able to call up one of my female friends and it don't even gotta be about sex. It's just like, yo, like, you wanna go get a drink or you wanna go hang out or you wanna go do this? And it's nothing. Like, I think a huge part of it is like the lack of restriction or just having the freedom to do what you wanna do. Because sometimes when you come out of a relationship, not that they were bogging you down or nothing like that, but I mean, you have to be concerned and worried about how that person feels, what they're thinking and that sort of thing. So there's times where you might want to do something, but it's like, okay, my spouse is not good with that, so I can't do that. Regardless of how bad you want to do it, it's like for the betterment of my relationship, I'm not going to do that thing. But when you're single, you don't have to worry about that. You just do what you want to do.
You know, when I
and I
hear
think that there's something that's enjoyable about that.
I think I was that person that just didn't like to do a lot of things. I'm coming to that conclusion because I heard that I've never really felt like if I wasn't married, like, and not even on nothing wild, nothing sexual, nothing, but like just I haven't really felt like, man, being married is holding me back from doing X, Y, and Z. I mean, I don't know. I've honestly seen the opposite. There are a lot of things that I've been able to do and accomplish that I know I would not have accomplished if it weren't for my wife.
That's what I was talking about earlier, having that partner to push you.
Right. I think I read this book called Heavy by an artist, author by the name of Kiese Layman. And he says something in here. He's talking about, he's 12 years old. He likes this 15-year-old girl. Something happens, unfortunately, to this 15-year-old girl by a group of 17-year-old boys, right? I'll let you read the book if you want to jump into that. And while this is happening, the 17-year-old boys told him, while we're doing this, you need to go through her pocketbook and steal her stuff. And he finds this ID card that on the back of it is hers and it says use in a case of emergencies. And he says this about that moment. Up until that point, I never really imagined Layla being in one emergency, much less emergencies. Part of it was Layla was a black girl, and I was taught by big boys who were taught by big boys who were taught by big boys that black girls would be okay no matter what we did to them. And I think that that's a big part of the problem, right? Is when you are saying, I never thought I would miss out. And I am saying, well, I came from the era where I thought I would miss out on getting married. The one fundamental question I have is, who taught you how you should treat black women? Because I can look back and tell you how I was taught. And the reason why I thought I was going to miss out is because I was taught that black women were made for my convenience, for my conquest, for my this, for that. Somebody may have taught you different. Right? So missing out in the mindset we have when we're not in a relationship to live our best life, I think we have to ask the question. I'm not making a statement about any other men. We have to ask the question, when I want to live my best life, what do I think about women at that time? And I think women have to ask the question, when I want to live my best life, when I want to go out with a dude and I don't really like him, but I just want him to pay for dinner, what do I think about that guy? Right? And is it responsible for me to treat him that way? Because he's going to be really into me, and then I'm going to use him, and then he's going to go take that out on the next woman. She ain't getting steak. She getting grilled cheese and invited back to the apartment.
The only issue I got with this is the idea of, because somebody's single and they go out with somebody without the intention of getting married, that somebody's getting hurt. I think that's an unfair...
Somebody's getting used.
You said, but I think that's an unfair assumption?
I think that's an unfair assessment.
I wouldn't say hurt, I would say used.
Either way, I think it's an unfair assessment.
Nah, nobody wants, nobody, okay.
Well, let me hear why first. I want to hear why.
You already told me no, I ain't got
No, I want to hear why. That was kind of hard to register. We want to hear why. This is good conversation.
I'm saying because if I'm dealing with somebody and I'm honest with them about what I don't want, the same way you're honest about what you want, if I'm honest about what I don't want and they still choose to indulge, right? How are they getting used or getting hurt unless it becomes a situation where one person on either side allows their feelings to get more involved than you should have. So, because to me, what I'm saying is there's situations as a single man where we both go into the situation, me, the single woman, we go into a situation knowing this is what it is. And this is where it's going to be. And so if we both leave that situation unscathed and you go on and you happy and I go on and I'm happy, I think it's unfair to say that every time two people get together, one person's getting used or one person's getting hurt.
So I have a theory on this.
It's a great conversation.
It's not based
I think this is a great conversation.
I agree 100%.
Unfortunately,
time is getting there. But I do have a theory on this. You can agree with it or not agree with it. It's not based on any type of statistics or anything. It's just based off of what I've seen, heard, women that I've talked to, etc. I think we in society have made the mistake of looking at promiscuity as if it's not some type of damaged activity. It's as if it's not the activity of someone who has in some type of way had their perspective, their heart, their emotion. There's some type of, I'll give you an example. I don't know any woman in my life that I've talked to, engaged, that as a little girl envisioned, I'm going to be this woman who casually has sex with men with no emotional attachment whatsoever.
I don't think nobody grew up thinking that.
So then what happened? What happened so that I turned into a man who's okay with that?
Life happens.
But that's my point. Is that there were some things, ups and downs and whatever, that changed my perspective to where this act went from being something that should be sacred and special and there should be love involved to now it's like, hey, you want to have a good time? I want to have a good time. You want to have a good time? Cool. So in that moment, we may agree there's nothing here. We're just having a good time. So I might not be hurt by you, but somewhere down the line, I was hurt to get to this point.
Right.
That's my theory on that. Because I hear people say that all the time. Like, hey, brother, no, we knew. She knew. Girls, nowadays, the women is worse than the men. And I'm like, yeah, because they
kind of are.
No. And I agree. No, wait.
It's rough outside.
Kind of rough out these.
A little rough outside.
I've heard from some
I agree. But listen.
But they got there some kind of way.
Exactly. They got there because we used to be worse than them.
Yeah.
And they got tired of us.
Go ahead, Mike.
Absolutely.
Yeah, men and women who never grew up from their trauma. Okay, go ahead. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Look, that almost knocked his glasses off. He said, wait a minute, why you blaming it on us? They's like, who sent him? He like, who sent him? Man, my mentor, yeah. I don't know if I agree. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with this now.
That's what I was saying.
But my mentor says, he always used to say to me when I was younger, Darren, there are no whores without whoremongers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he would say to me.
And 100%.
And I would be like,
okay.
And now that I think about it, so how I would answer, John and Mike answered your question a lot deeper than mine. How I would answer your question is I would say just because it's a signed contract doesn't mean it's a good contract. Right? Sure. Relationships are always about transactions.
Right.
And when I don't have your best interest at hand, when I have my best interest at hand, my goal is to write this contract in a way where I get more than you, even if I'm making it seem like we get the same thing.
Ooh.
Right. And so that's where that's how I would answer.
And the reason you get more than her, even though it seems like you get the same, is because of the way people are going to look at that contract.
The way people are going to look at it, right?
Boys will be boys for you, and they're going to look at her and say, "Oh, she
the double standard in it, right?
Yeah.
How I may send her away, right? However it may be. I think that is like, yeah. And so that's my thing. A signed contract doesn't mean it's a good contract.
No, because in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, why is it a public contract? Like, why is it?
What's a transaction?
Why is that public information?
What is a transaction between you and that person?
No, but I'm asking, why is the contract automatically assumed to be public information?
No, I'm not talking about just between y'all.
It's not assumed.
Just between y'all. I can guarantee you when you get down the road, if you kept in touch with that person and you were like, let's be completely honest, one of you will regret that contract. One of you will say, you know what? At that moment, I signed on to something that I wish I did not sign for. And I think that that's...
Especially if you end up married.
Yeah, I think that that's part of... And listen, and it may not be just between you and them. They may get to a person and look, I'm going to be honest with you. A dude that's ready to get married, he's asking a woman, how many men have you been with? Mm-hmm. And your body count could be the reason why I say, we ain't going to work, sweetie. And she going to come back to you that was a bad contract for her. It could be a woman. I'm just...
No, listen, yeah, I hear everything you saying.
But tell me what your thoughts are.
I hear everything
because I see you cringing over there. You're like, I don't know.
Because I'm really struggling with this. Because I'm all about experiences. So to me, we go through our lives, we make mistakes, right? Mm-hmm. We get to a certain point where you mature and you do whatever it is that you intend to do, right? And so at the point that you find that person that's for you, that person's for you. Like, they're going to want you whether you had 100 bodies or whether you had one body.
Oh, no, not this person.
No, but what I'm saying is...
Baby, I ain't the one for you.
But what I'm saying is, you're saying that based on what you were told. We don't never necessarily know. You weren't there for their past. Like, you don't know, and I'm not disrespecting nobody.
People tell me she got 100 bodies.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I can tell, though. You can tell. Don't let me go guess Fred on here. Don't let me go guess Fred on. This is why I love these conversations. Promiscuity changes the mindset, the mannerisms, the expectations, and the standards of people. Mm-hmm. So when I get with you, I can tell, right?
Right.
Listen, and I love this because I had a very strong male mentors when I was younger. And he would say to me, Darren, when you're looking for a wife, marry a woman that you would want to raise your daughter. Mm-hmm. So if you've been out on the scene and you love twerking, and you love being on Instagram all the time.
What if it's a used to?
But you don't think it's women. But you don't think it's women in the church that are good moms that had that past.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't care about good moms. They might not be wives.
No, but why can't they be good wives though?
I'm just saying if they are wives. I'm not.
I think
there are a lot
crazy.
of good moms that ain't wives. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I think that's crazy that you're saying because somebody had a past.
No, I'm not saying because somebody had a past that automatically disqualifies them. I'm saying because somebody has a past bring baggage, right?
No, not all the time.
How not?
It don't. Like, baggage don't always have to transfer into a new situation. You might have some stuff that...
Fairy tale, what?
No, listen.
Happily ever after.
Because you can have something that you dealt with in the past that you don't bring into your new situation.
I'm not saying that you always have to bring, right? So it's not...
so that's what I'm saying. So when you say baggage is automatic, that's not true.
More than not. Let's just talk. When we've been out here...
That's a statistic thing. No. I'm struggling.
Give me your experiences. Because you say you like to live through experience. Mm-hmm. In your experiences, as you've been dating women, do you come in contact with their baggage if you stay around long enough to even experience the baggage? What's the percentage of you experiencing baggage versus you not experiencing baggage from prior relationships?
I'll say it's 100%. It's 100%.
Well, I guess for me, I've never really had to. I don't feel like I've ever had to really deal with previous baggage. Mm-hmm. I've had to deal with baggage in terms of just their life, for example. So, like, if they have like certain people in their lives that I don't particularly care for, it's been more of that. But it hasn't been, oh, you messed with this person back then, and now I got to deal with that person now. Mm-hmm. I haven't had to deal with that, so I can't speak to that.
It's good. That's good. I don't know that life. But Mike got it. And I appreciate that. I respect that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Or what if you're not looking at it because you never plan to be serious with that person either?
But that's what I'm saying. I've been in situations where I have been serious with people.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you're. I'm not saying that you. Yeah.
And I guess to his point, I don't have a scenario in which I look at my relationships and I say, "Oh, it was the same common denominator as to why this didn't work out."
Right.
So I don't have those experiences, and I can I can only speak to mine.
You're a good dater. You know that.
I mean, I try to be a happy human being out
variety because most people date the same person over and over again. They just look different.
Well, because another thing too is I think another misconception about being single is that because you're single, you're always on the hunt. That's not always true.
No, I'm not saying that. I think that there are a lot of people who are single and good being by themselves. But I also think that there are a lot of people who are single and they want something that resembles a relationship or love or
that is
right?
true. But that other part you said is important. There's another dynamic of people where they're single and they're perfectly happy being single. At least for now. I'm not saying forever.
No, I said perfectly happy being alone.
Oh, right? Well, yeah, that's different.
That's different. There's a difference between.
But you can be comfortable being alone, but still enjoy dating.
You're using someone. You're using someone. You want something from them without giving them the commitment in which that thing should come from.
But I can't use somebody who's. Well, yes, I could.
You can.
I was about to say I can't use somebody who's a willing participant.
Yes,
you can.
A signed contract doesn't mean it's a good contract. That's just right. And so this is the part where I get to this and where I understand in the scripture more when Paul is talking about this to the Corinthian church, and he's talking about this idea of sexual relationships and promiscuity, he says, you need to stop devouring one another, right? Because all we're really doing, we can candy paint it as much as we want to. We're consuming one another, right? Like I'm taking what I want from you, which 9 times out of 10 are the most desirable parts of you, and I'm treating them like spare parts and I'm moving on. Right? No matter if we agree with it or not, right? No, I know it sounds hard. He like, dang, I ain't gonna be able to make that call after this.
No, because I ain't
gonna be able to call after this.
No, because you literally are making it sound like it's literally like a feasting session. Like you just go out there, you pounce on somebody and then you just throw somebody to the side.
Some of us are very nice when we eat. Some of us eat with a knife and fork and we only cut little pieces bit by bit. Some of us have very good etiquette when we eat. And then some of us are barbarians, but we all still eat.
Seriously.
Mike?
It has to be the latter. For me, it has to be the latter. It can't be the former. It has to be two people working together to build. I don't want to be in a situation where see, that's what I'm saying.
Because his message, he said, girl, you ain't good enough for me to build a life with, but you're good enough for me to have a night with. I mean,
I'm dead.
I done made a lot of them agreements, Doc.
You said what?
Like, I'm not spiffy clean out.
Yeah.
I'm saved by Jesus' grace. It's a transaction. Yeah. It's like,
no, I'm fine with the transaction piece.
And I'm trying to get the most and pay the least.
Yeah. Come on, Jay.
No, I can't go for that.
Are you trying to get the you trying to get the most and give the most?
I can't go for that.
So are you saying you try to get the most by giving the most?
I'm saying that I'm not going to be the type of person that's out here just pouncing. Like that's not me.
No. I'm talking about your negotiation tactics right now. Right? You know, you have a great career. I had before I was an entrepreneur, I had a boss tell me, nobody will ever pay you what you're worth. They pay what you negotiate. Mm-hmm. If she gives it to you at a lower level of negotiation, do you say, no, baby, I ain't going to take that. This is what you're really worth. You should have this. Or are you going to say, well, she signed the contract.
I might not take it at all because I might not want it.
So if you don't want it, that's a different story. But if you want it, mm-hmm. Are you going to give it fair market value or is she going to give you fair market value, or are you going to get what you want by giving the least for the bargain?
For the bargain?
How do you negotiate in your relationships?
Yeah, that's weird to me because I guess for me, I don't never try to lowball nobody.
No, you don't.
Like
that's not what we're talking about. She's lowballing herself. Do you allow her to? That's what we're saying. Yes. The answer is yes.
He ain't want to go on record. He's like, I am not going on record with that one.
Because that's a weird question.
Like, I am not going on record with that one.
That's a weird
your
question,
face
man.
was hilarious.
That's a weird question. Like,
why is it a weird question?
Because it is. It's like, oh, well, if she's doing this, then she's lowballing herself. Why is she lowballing herself?
Because
why is she not getting what she wants out of the situation?
The premium is, if you want this, you got to marry me.
That's your premium.
Oh no, that's the premium.
That's the premium. That's what I'm saying. No, that's the. If you want to talk about we backed up, right, and we went back to the little girl, right. There's no little girl, and you said nobody wants that, right? I said no little girl is sitting here walking around, like thinking I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be this woman who has sex with men who don't want to marry me, have no interest in marrying me. They had enough gusto to communicate to me, I'm only having sex with you, this is nothing else. Right. And I still go and have sex with them. No woman or man grows up wanting to be that. So to then allow someone to do that, you have lessened the price.
So if a guy goes through the process of marrying a woman, right? Mm-hmm. Marrying a woman, because we're saying marriage is the ultimate prize.
Yes.
He marries the woman, but he treats her like crap, and then ends up leaving her to herself. She got married. That's the ultimate prize, according to y'all.
So, not marriage in itself being the ultimate prize. But
I'm just saying.
I get what you're saying. That's a good question. That's a great question.
So I'm just asking because that guy married her.
What was the question?
I'm asking because the guy married her, but he treats her terribly. Is that still the prize? Is that still her getting?
No, the reason. No. And to answer your question, no. And the reason why is because, like he said, it's not that marriage is the prize. It's Christ-like marriage is.
See, but now you adding words. That's what I was saying.
But
that's the only thing that we know.
To me, that's
fair.
Marriage. To me, that's when I say marriage. That's what I'm talking about. I ain't just talking about you went just and signed some papers just to sign some papers. It's like no.
But even so, right? Let's just stay in that, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say two Christian people get married. Right?
He's not honoring his covenant. That means he is not giving her what he is supposed to give her. He reneged on the responsibility of his covenant, so she is getting less than.
So
yeah, he used to. Yeah, that's true. He used to get stoned. Yeah, that's
I guess.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for reminding us how that works. Yeah. Stone him now. That's right. Yeah. But go ahead, keep going, Jerome.
No, all I was going to say was that I guess for me, and I get what you got all to say. I'm not disagreeing with y'all. I got what you're saying, but I guess for me, I struggle with the idea of if it's not, and we'll say Christ-like marriage just because if it's not Christ-like marriage, then it's not. You're not paying full price, right?
You're not.
Because that part I agree with, but I'm saying there's people who get married, and it might not even been the intent of that guy to turn into this guy who now is treating her terribly and all that stuff. But he did marry her and do the right thing by her.
Right.
So I guess I'm asking.
But the marrying her and doing the right thing by her is a lifetime commitment, is not just the wedding day stance, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and I think that this is a standard that we have for everything, right? That's just like if somebody comes on your team at your job and they come in and they got a job description and say they're going to do all the right things.
Right.
And they don't do the job description and they don't do nothing. That's a problem. Right. Because the objective standard is that you said you would do this.
Right.
Since you're not doing this, you're messing this up. And now we got to look at some other things. I was listening to you, a basketball fan?
A little bit.
I was listening to Pat Bev talk about guys who play basketball but don't love the game, right? Fans suffer for that, right? Whenever you enter into a covenant, whenever you enter into that, the obligation you have and what you've signed up for is I am going to give you my best, right? Not just what I have, right? But what God puts in me. when we make contracts with people and not covenants, we saying, listen, I'm not even gonna tell you I'm gonna give you my best. I'm here for what I want. You here for what you want.
Mm-hmm.
For what we want, I may not have to give you nowhere near my best.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you should take that. I think that is us for our own personal enjoyment and our own personal satisfaction devaluing another individual. And it goes both ways. We talk about men and women because we're men, right? And we want to hold men accountable.
Right.
But it's women out there doing it. Like there's women out there taking money from guys, providing living from guys. I mean, they get all this stuff and they want nothing to do with that man. Right. And I'm saying, sis, that may work for you, but are you treating him with the dignity and the respect that he deserves to be treated with? Or do you just say, it ain't my fault he a simp?
Right.
If he gonna agree to it, then I'm gonna agree to it, right? Like, you know, it ain't my fault.
Right.
And I think that, and this is why I think that singleness seems like it's a great option because we think we get what we want, but we get it by forfeiting what we need.
That's woo,
That's
right.
Good.
That's
and I know what.
No, that's what I felt.
Yeah, you weren't about to say that.
Look, we coordinate.
When I was saying what I was saying earlier, that's what I was feeling. I couldn't say it. I was like, I've never felt that. Like,
no, I'm messing with you.
You know
man.
what I'm saying? No.
And I think we don't see it on the latter end, like the Bible said, wisdom is proved by her children.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to a woman that had a lot of relationships in her 20s and her 30s, and she's 45 and she's single, and she wants to be married, but nobody, if I go back and ask her, was it worth it?
Right.
I wonder if she would say, oh, hell, it was so good that I'm good with being where. She would probably say, if I go to a dude, right? You know what I mean? And I'm like, hey, bro, like you had all this, you had all that, but you want a good woman that was it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that 8 times out of 10, most people would say, I think I would have did it differently.
You had to say 8 times out of 10, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's a statistic.
Because I think it does boil down to count them.
No, I think everybody in life wants companionship.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that there's different ways to have that. So I guess that's, I know you always got something to say when I got something to say.
No, finish.
You know, I like that. I'm challenging y'all. I like this.
I like
good
that.
conversation.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying.
It's going to be a 2-part. Yeah. Keep going, Jerome.
No, but I guess my thing is, and I'm not saying this is me, I'm just now in general, right? So, you know, you have your marriages, right? That's cool. You got your people that's single, you know, they do their thing. But you also have people that are together and maybe they don't get married. But you also have people that are single and they just enjoy each other's company and it's not a relationship. So I guess it all depends on what you're valuing as, what you value in the relationship that you need.
So this, I'm going to share something that, man, I sometimes get emotional when I think about this because there is a level of companionship that I have found in my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no friend giving me that. Ain't no friend ever give me that before I got married. And I have had what I believe are close friends, and I still have what I believe is a close friendship.
But here's what I would say. Would you finish?
Go ahead.
What I would say back to you is there's people in this world that aren't born with or don't grow up with their parents, right? Now, if you grow up with your parents, the love that you got from your mother, you'll sit there and you'll say, oh, there's no love like this. Like, there's no love like a mother's love. But if I grew up and I didn't have my mother and some other person, whether it was a father or a grandparent or whatever, that person would have loved me like the way that you talk about the way that your mother loved you. Okay. So it's not always going to be a one-to-one.
But all deficits come from brokenness.
This boy with the
all deficits come from brokenness. I'm coming with my
thesaurus next time. I'm going to be like Stephen A next time.
I would feel the reason why they did not have is because something went wrong, not because everything was right. Right? So they're missing out on something. And so therefore, if they begin to make decisions out of that, they're already starting at a handicap. Right? And so what happens is they need to be reintroduced to or introduced to this is how it's supposed to be, right? And I think that that's why sometimes Christians can seem arrogant in our stance of relationships and marriage because we're looking at it from a this is how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Instead of settling for of this is what it is.
But what did you mean when you said it's not always a one-to-one? Because I think I missed what you meant by that. You said it's not always a one-to-one. Like if you grew up without your parents and then there's someone who came and gave you that.
Oh, because you were saying the love that you get from your wife, like nobody else could have given you that. And I'm saying that somebody who's single, they may not have a wife, but they might feel that way about whoever they value a relationship with.
Yeah, our experiences make us build a subjective standard that we're okay with because we don't know or we feel like we don't need the objective standard, right? So because I come from a household where maybe my parents weren't married and they were rocky and they were up and down, I don't have a problem with just having a boyfriend as long as we're peaceful or a girlfriend as long as we're peaceful. That's a 10 for me, right? That's good for me. Somebody's telling me to get married and I'm like, well, this is 10 times better than what I saw. So I feel comfortable with this standard right here. Why do I need to go there? And it's because you don't want to go there. It's because the example that you learned from was broken in itself.
Oh, okay, I didn't get that.
Right. So it's not.
I wouldn't have said it like that. Neither.
Yeah, it's not going to be everybody's story. People's standards are made off of how they see their story, right? And everybody's story is not going to be the same. So that situation that you gave, he was saying it can't be a one-to-one, right? And how people figure it out. And I agree with that to a certain stance of that being a subjective standard. But there's an objective standard that sits higher than that, which should make you reach.
Yeah, I'm not here to say that being single is like what you need to be.
No.
I'm not doing that at all.
I don't think that.
Yeah. I'm just here to say that there's levels to things. That's just how I feel. Like, because I'm all for marriage. Like if I find the right person and that's how it ends up, I would love that. Like I would love to have that person that takes me to that next level and do all of that. But I haven't found them right now. That's not where I'm at. Right. But at the same time, it doesn't mean...
Will you save yourself until you find them?
I got a couple names and numbers for you.
Will you save yourself until you find them?
You said it again? No. I gave you a chance to get yourself together. You actually repeated yourself?
He said, He said, you said it. I love this guy, yo. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So then we can ask the question, do you really want her?
Who? Wait, whoa. Where were you?
Do you really want the girl? You said, if I find the person if I find a person that I can fall in love with, or I can do this more, I don't mind getting married. Mm-hmm. And then my question was, well, if it was a requirement, would you save yourself for her? Would you not deal with any other person in pursuit of finding her?
Well, yeah, I would. I'm not ready to do that today.
He said,
but I would.
He said, I ain't making no commitments.
But I would.
I reserve the right to change my mind.
Well, no, because I mean, what you're asking me, I'm an honest guy. So
I love it.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know if I'm doing all that right now.
Yeah.
But in the event that I get to that point of, okay, you know what, now I want to be more, again, intentional. I want to be more purposeful in terms of finding my wife. Mm-hmm. I would be willing to do that because you don't really want to be outside just, doing whatever if you're looking for a wife. Like, you don't really want to be doing that.
Yeah, we ain't even talk about how when you be outside and you lay down, how the soul ties happen too.
All right.
That's a whole different
that's a whole nother thing. We can go hold that. We ain't talking about that.
I'm gonna watch that episode. I'm not sitting here for that one. I'm gonna watch that one.
So I had before I settled down and I was celibate and I started to look for a wife, I had a very promiscuous past. Mm-hmm. And one of my mentors again had me read a book called The Invisible Bond.
Okay.
And in The Invisible Bond, they gave an illustration and they said having sex outside of marriage is taking two paper hearts and gluing them together, right? Mm-hmm. And then once you're over with your relationship, you rip them apart. It's impossible to not have residue stuck on you once you're glued together in that way. And so one of the things that I realized, even in my expectations of what love or sex would be like in marriage, somebody told me, your expectation that you have for your wife right now, you've literally built a Frankenstein. Because you've taken this best part of this woman, you've taken the best part of what you experienced you take this and that, and you've put them together, and you want this person to be all of that. But that's 15, 20, 30 different women. It's impossible, right? So I even had to relearn, well, what should my appetite be like for a wife, right? Like, what should I can't go to my wife and be like, yeah, I got this sexual thing that I love to do because I was with Shorty back there, and like, I need you to do that, right? Like, that ain't cool. But that's what a lot of us try to do. And on both ends, you're like, hey, listen. And the girls be like, I'm telling you, that's what we do, right? And that's why, I had a pastor one time. He got married in his late 20s, and he was a virgin when he got married. And he said to a group of men one time, I'm glad I'm not like y'all. He said, because my relationship with my wife is so much better because I never knew what 31 flavors tasted like. I only knew what one.
That's fair.
Right? That's fair. And he said, so it's the best thing I've ever had because it's the only thing I've ever had. I ain't got nothing. What happened?
A lot of stuff you missed out on.
See. Yeah. We're going to end it right there because we can talk. Go ahead, Jerome.
I just want to say one thing, though, because, and this is going back to the whole husbandry thing, right? So, like, for me, I'm a single guy. When I think about marriage, like who my potential wife is going to be, I don't want to say I don't think about the sex. I don't want to say that.
No, yeah, it's perfectly fine. Yeah.
It's not front of mind to me when I think about who my potential wife could be.
Right.
I'm thinking about all the other things because it's like, sex is sex. Like, you can do that, whatever, but...
Ooh, Lord Jesus.
I don't know if sex is sex.
But go ahead. We got you.
No.
We got you.
Yeah.
We're going to let you ride on that one. Let him ride.
Yeah, because you know what I'm saying. I don't mean it literally, but I'm just saying, like, you can have... You meant
it literally.
No, I didn't mean it literally.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jerome.
What I'm trying to say is...
Yeah.
Like, you can have access to sex. Now, what that sex is, that's, it is what it is. But in thinking about the wife part, it's like I'm thinking more, like much more than that. I'm thinking about, okay, like, again, how can we grow? How can we build? Like, I'm thinking about those type of things. What experiences can we share together? What experiences can we do new? And to me, the sex will fall into that. But for somebody who I want to spend the rest of my life with, if I'm just thinking about the sex, like, to me, that's...
And my response to that is that person that brings all of that to the table should be able to receive something from you that's unstained.
That's fair.
Because she gives so much, right? Like, and none of us are perfect, but there should be a period of time that we go through as men where we saying, I expect that woman to bring so much and be so much that I need to protect and guard what I'm going to give to her. Yeah. I can't just go out here and give it to any old, chick, because how can I can't take a Kia, put a new kid on it and make it a Bentley.
Right.
Like, and that's what some of us try to do in marriage. Like, we've been letting everybody ride this thing like it's a Kia, and then we got to package it up and make it a S580. We got to make it over here for this person. And it's just like, but you ain't do no work to rehab it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and that's what I try, because as men, a lot of the times, man, we just think we've been trained to think about ourselves. What I want, what she gonna do for me? And it's sad right now because a lot of men have been raised that way. You right now, if you wanted to get married, you would probably have women coming all over. Look, pause.
Whoa.
Pause.
I mean, that was actually not bad. That wasn't a bad deal.
Came out. That wasn't a pause for the real reason of pause. That was pause for the Jesus reason of pause. Because I didn't mean it like that. But you would have women all over you because there are a lot of men out here right now. Roles have reversed. They just living off of women.
Yeah, which is crazy to me.
It's crazy.
That's crazy to me.
But they living because the woman's standard has become so low that she's just like, well, I guess in order to get a man, I got to take care of one.
Yeah,
I got to let him drive my car.
That's crazy.
I got to let him eat my kids' food. Right? They drinking up all the Capri Suns and everything. But
that's a whole nother topic right there.
That's a whole nother, Jerome. We're going to get on out of here. Man, but I love this because I think married men and single men need to be having more of these conversations because we learn from one another.
Right.
Like we've learned from you.
I learned from
that
y'all.
There's more nuance in how we think about things, right? And you've learned certain things for us. So I just thank you so much, brother, for coming on this show. And thank you for blessing us with your presence and your thoughts and your honesty. And I believe that it's going to help our audience out and like it helped us out this evening.
No, I appreciate y'all for having me. Thank you very much.